the site of the old studio. There's a musician there, Chester. I don't know if you can pick him up, but he's back in the days when we lived here in Pollock Shields. If you were carrying a guitar, you were a celebrity. This is where we had the studio, little studio down here called Backshop Studios, as you well know. This is where I recorded The Damage, which escaped in Germany, like the men from Codas, sometime in the early 80s. I'm trying to work out which one it was now, actually. I think it's now the... Yeah, so it's now a dentist, and I suppose there's some sort of kind of strange poetic justice in that. The pain caused by the drill, yes. But that was downstairs. We went down to Backshop down there, and I think we've got some photographs of the little studio at the time. And of course that was in the post-string driven thing days, when I was trying to come to terms with the fact that I no longer had a career in music.
Chris, I first saw you back in, probably must have been 69 or 70, but I think the band had been sort of formed a wee bit before that.
Yeah, we started actually probably about 67, but John Mannion and I had actually met each other in 1964 when I was selling vacuum cleaners. I took up a job, a summer job. I was waiting for a teacher's training grant, and I got a job selling Electrolux vacuum cleaners, and John was in one of the other sales teams, and he wore a beard, and he had a guitar, and he read the Daily Worker, which, you know, kind of like put him in that slightly alternative view situation in the mid-60s. And so we got talking, and I mean, he basically was into guys like Pete Seeger and Jimmy Rogers, and the kind of stuff that came out of folk clubs, which were usually associated with the left, you know, the liberal left. I, on the other hand, had been into the Beatles, and, you know, then the Byrds and the Lovin' Spoonful, and obviously Dylan. So there was a kind of cross-cultural reference there that we kind of meshed together. And we got on really, really well. And I remember we used to, after we'd been selling vacuum cleaners all day, we used to go to the pub, and we had a couple of guitars. I think I had to borrow one at that point. And I wasn't long married, so I had other priorities than guitars. But we'd go to the pub and we'd start singing, and the harmonies worked really well. And I found it easy to harmonise. You know, it was just one of these things that you've either got or you haven't got. And after a while, Pauline would say, you know, what you guys up to? You know, why aren't you coming home till 8 o'clock at night? And she very much believed in, if you can't join them, then beat them. And yeah, exactly. Yeah. So even then, I was being beat up, Chester. So she joined us, and the Three Voices went really well. Pauline had been on CND marches, and she had a kind of she also had that kind of slightly kind of beatnik left-wing agenda, which is what attracted me to her. And she also had a fair amount of songs, you know, like Pete Seeger and Where Have All the Flowers Gone, and We Shall Not Be Moved, yeah, etc., etc. You know, the kind of the usual kind of left-wing thing of the 1960s, very idealistic. Anyway, Three Voices worked very well together, but John was moving down south. So he went down to Gravesend because his brothers lived down there, and it would be probably about maybe a year and a half later, I went down, Paul and I went down to visit him, and there are some good photographs of that which we must dig out in John's brother's Terry's back garden in Gravesend in Kent.
Has been an accident.
Excuse me, yes, we know that, but shut up. Again, we did a couple of gigs down in Kent, and I said to John, why don't you come back to Glasgow and we'll start it as a trio. I think we could get somewhere. But this time, obviously, I was writing songs with the Three Voices in mind. So John came back to Glasgow in '67, and that's really when we started. We started off by doing pubs, and there were no kind of karaoke's, there were no open mic nights. You basically went along and sold yourself, and I think we got maybe, I don't know, £4 for a gig or something like that, you know. that would be £1 each and £1 for the drink. Although in those days £1 would go an awful long way if you were drinking. And Pauline didn't tend to drink an awful lot. Although it has to be said that when we were playing in pubs, she did resort to Dutch courage at that point in her career.